Roll up, it's time for the greatest show on earth, or as I like to call it, episode 1 in the brand new series of Let's Play Planet Coaster here on Theme Park Worldwide. Back in series 1, we built a theme park with various different areas. In series 2, we've just built a studios based park. And then in this series, number 3, we're going in with a vintage amusement park. And as you can see here, I'm just giving you a bit of an overview there of what I've just built in the scenario editor, which is my seafront. There's the beach and there's the sea. Unfortunately, the sea can't go out any further, mainly because of the game limitations, but still I'm pleased with how it looks for that. So yes, I've built that in the scenario editor, and here I am starting off with putting in a bit of infrastructure, some of the footpaths, just to give you an idea on how this park's going to look. Now, it's going to be inspired by some of the best amusement parks out there in the world, a lot of them which I have been to, which is great for inspiration. Along with that, as always, I'm going to be keeping it very interactive. In the comments, let me know what rides you'd like to see later on in the series, naming different rides as well. So yeah, it certainly is going to be very exciting, and I'm looking forward to doing this because it'll be completely different to anything I've done before, because it's not going to be themed areas. It will be your traditional amusement park. But more about that in just a second. As you can see here, I've just started construction on my first ride in this park, a roller coaster, and this is going to be a very traditional scenic railway. It's quite tall, it's going to have some big drops and stuff in it, a bit like the scenic railway, known as roller coaster, that operates at Great Yarmouth Pleasure Beach here in the UK. There's also, of course, the scenic railway at Dreamland in Margate. It did get burnt down and then it's been completely rebuilt. So yeah, that's another ride that I'm sort of looking at for inspiration with this ride here. But it is going to be quite a big coaster. You know, it's going to have that sort of layout where we're going out to one side of the park, having a turnaround section, then coming back, then going out a little bit again. So yeah, you'll see that come together here over the next few minutes. But yes, like I say, it's going to be inspired by some of the best amusement parks that I've been to out there. First ones that come into my head, Tivoli Gardens in Copenhagen, absolutely gorgeous. All the lights around the park, the planting. Now, as I'm not doing themed areas in this park, I do want it to look absolutely beautiful. Liseberg in Sweden, that's another park what looks absolutely gorgeous, with all the landscaping around, waterfalls, fountains, landscapes, gardens. I actually plan on putting in just some gardens without any rides in this park. Kind of a bit like Alton Towers. Obviously, we know that's a theme park, but and this is an amusement park, but we're going for here. But yeah, like some gardens a bit like Alton Towers I'd like to put in here. A lot of heritage and making things look old, like they've been there for a long time, but also well looked after as well. This is going to be a very well looked after amusement park. Like I say, if you look on the vlogs what we've filmed on the channel from the likes of Liseberg, of course Bakken's another amusement park in Copenhagen, not too far away from Tivoli, Blackpool Pleasure Beach here in the UK, of course loads of classic rides there mixed in with a lot of new attractions as well. I'm not too sure at the moment if I plan on putting in some newer attractions in this or not, but there's definitely going to be some steel coasters, but I was thinking of keeping them all very old school. But again, I'd like to know your thoughts on that one. Would you maybe like to see later on some more modern rides come in and sort of play the game as if the park's developed over the years, and here we are in 2018, nearly 2019, with all these modern rides? I'd like to know your thoughts on that. So yeah, get them down in the comments below. This series is very, very interactive. They always are my Planet Coasters here on the channel. I like to keep as much of the channel interactive as I can do, and that's something that I'm working on more into 2019. More about that as we move into January, early February next year. But yeah, only a few weeks to go now, and we're going to be in 2019. It's going to be an awesome year, and I really can't wait to share all of my plans with you guys. As you can see here then, the layout for the roller coaster coming on quite nicely. With the scenic railways, they don't really have banked corners as such. As you can see here, I've kept the corners flat. It's so you probably get whacked into the side of your seat when you're going round. Anyone that's been on the scenic railway at Dreamland in Margate would know about that. Same with the roller coaster at Great Yarmouth. I definitely recommend watching the vlogs from Great Yarmouth Pleasure Beach. There's a few of those here on the channel. Also from Dreamland Margate, and also from Liseberg and Tivoli. If you watch all of those, you'll get a bit of an idea as to what I want this park to look like. As you can see there, I'm really pleased with how this has come together. Using that smoothing tool, I'm really trying to improve my building skills with the roller coasters in this series as well. I've always sort of not rushed the roller coasters in this game, but I do get very excited when it comes to theming and landscaping. So with this one, with it being the amusement park and it more being about the rides here, a nice double up there that I've just put in, it's more about making sure the coasters themselves are really good in this series. That's what I'm really trying, and you'll see from the POV in just a couple of minutes that I'm really pleased with this. It's definitely one of my favourite coasters that I've built in the game. You've got to bear in mind, yes, this is my third park that I've done publicly, but I've also done a few episodes sort of behind the scenes, like just for myself and friends to look at as well. So yeah, and also just to get a bit of inspiration, play about a bit with the game before doing them here for the main series. But yeah, as you can see in the first 5 minutes, you've already got a bit of an idea of what is going to be the main focal point, or at least for now, the focal point of this park. In terms of a name for the park and things, I'd really like your suggestions for that. That'll probably come over the next few episodes. I wouldn't say that I'm just going to pick the name off the comments from this first episode, because I really feel like you guys need to get a good feel for how the park looks and things before you start coming up with a name. But if you'd like to start putting a few early suggestions down there in the comments, by all means go for it. But yeah, I'm probably not going to pick a name for the park until we're maybe 3 or 4 episodes in, just because I want to get a feel for it. I mean, myself, I don't really know how it's going to look and turn out, so I think the name really needs to reflect what the park's all about and what I'm trying to create here, because as you'll see, it is going to look beautiful. That is the plan with this park. I don't want it to look impressive. The Studios park was all about looking really nice and impressive, and you walk in and go wow at the grand archways, the water tower, the hotel, and of course Amity Tower in the backdrop. Whereas with this, it's not about being impressive, so to speak. It's more about it looking absolutely beautiful. Here we can see then POV. I know you all like seeing some on-ride footage, so here we go. This is the actual speed as well. It's not sped up or slowed down or anything. As you can see, going down the first drop just there. Nice bit of airtime over the top. And quite a steep incline there, ready for this section. Like I say, there's no banking normally on these scenic railways, because that's what they started as. They were for looking at the scenery. It was not really about the thrills as such. There'd only be a few drops. But yes, I know this is quite a big scenic railway here, but it is still a scenic railway. I'm not classing this as your normal sort of wooden roller coaster just yet. They're going to come a little bit later. I'd like to do a ride a bit like Grand National, actually, at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. I'd love to do that, a racing coaster. I've not built a racing coaster, wood or steel, since I started doing the series of Planet Coaster here on Theme Park Worldwide. So I think, considering it's the 3rd series in, I think that would be quite a nice thing to do. A bit of a double up there and making our way around some of these hills. Really quite pleased with the speed of this. I'll do some sort of scenery around that section there. And then round we come into the brakes. But yeah, it's going to be running on 2 trains, this as well. Again, you know, it's a lot of the scenic railways. I mean, the roller coaster at Great Yarmouth, what's it got, like 4 trains? I've never seen it run more than 1, not in recent years anyway. But yeah, it does have a silly amount of trains. But like I say, the roller coaster Rushtabahn at Tivoli Gardens is an absolutely incredible ride, and yeah, just the way that's operated. There's a POV here on the channel, and also it features in the vlog from 2015 when we went out there. So I'd highly recommend, if you're going to watch one vlog that gives you a lot of inspiration to what this part's going to look like, then definitely check out that from Tivoli in Copenhagen. It's a stunning amusement park. I'd like to say I'd go back in 2019, but I've got plans for so much already that I'm not too sure if I will be able to fit it in next year or not, but maybe. We'll have to see what happens. In terms of putting everything together over winter, it always takes time to put them plans in with what I'd like to do for various different park visits. Now that the coaster's in, I'm really happy with that. It's rare that I'll watch the POV back myself and think, oh, you know what, I'd maybe change that, or yes, I need to go back in and edit that. But overall, I'm so impressed with what it looks like there. I'm really pleased with that for the initial ride. And you can see it's about putting in some other bits now. Straight in, no messing. I mean, what are we, less than 10 minutes into this series, and we've got 2 rides in already. A nice traditional carousel just here, there's going to be a lot of flat rides put into this park. Like I say, it's an amusement park, not a theme park, so lots of flat rides, and all the lights and things and adding little extras around them are really going to come into play here. When I was building some of the theme parks, both the Studios park, of course, and my first park that I did, Volcano Springs, it was sort of like, oh, I wish some of the flat rides came without the lights on because they look more fairground than they do theme park. So I tried to cover up the fact they were travelling rides. Whereas in this one, I'll be using that to the full potential. It's great that they've got all the lights on, and I'll be adding various different park hands and using the festive scenery just to add lights in general. A lot of these buildings you see are going to have lights all year round, because you go to Liseberg in Sweden, you walk down their main entrance streets, and the entrance building itself's all covered in lights, and that warm white feel, that's what I really want to give off here. So I'll probably use like a yellow for a lot of the lights just to give it that warm feel. But yes, another park, Grunelund in Stockholm, that's another beautiful amusement park, and that's very compact. I don't want this to be as compact as Grunelund. As much as I love it there, it's great, and that adds to its charm. With this one, it is going to be more spread out than Grunelund, but I do like how a couple of the rides get close to each other, so I may do something similar with that later on. But yeah, as you can see here, putting in a nice traditional vintage cars ride, the third ride already at this park. You'll see I'm going to do the theming a little bit different here. Like normally when I've been building these parks, I'll build the ride and then do the scenery straight away. With this, or at least for the first couple of episodes, just really trying to get a feel for the park, and like I don't really know where I want to go with certain bits, so it's like, yeah, let's put some buildings in and see how it looks. Like at the moment, I don't know, these buildings are just white. I don't really know how they're going to look. It all depends on how the landscaping and the gardens come together. You'll see here I'm making some edits already because I'm thinking, oh, actually the building was maybe a bit too tall, a bit too big, so I've started to make that a little bit smaller and put in some bits at the back there. It is all about experimenting, and people regularly comment on my Planet Coaster videos saying, Sean, how do you get the inspiration, or how do you put this together and get the ideas? Like, how do you know that this building's going to go there and fit in? And the key to it is, I don't. You've just got to experiment with the game. Like I say, I look at a lot of parks that I've been to for inspiration, and that doesn't mean copying what they've got. Like I say, I don't really want to start doing recreations and things. I'd much rather do my own projects, and that's what I enjoy doing. But yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it, that you look at some of the rides out there and take little bits from them and think, yeah, actually, I really liked that. For example, here, I know at Tivoli, they've got all these lovely archways around the park, so I plan on adding them around here as well. And as much as there's not going to be themed areas, there'll definitely be different areas where you can tell the paths are different and the landscaping's different and things. Whereas this main sort of area here at the front of the park, it's all sort of a generic sort of lots of different coloured plants, the nice sort of warm white, yellow lighting what we're going to have around here, and the building style, the colours of this park, what I've got in my head are like that blue colour, hence the planting, and like a reddy brown colour, like you can see what I've painted the railings just at the front there. Bringing in plenty of hashtag rock work there as well. There's probably going to be less rocks than I've ever used before, to be honest, in this series, mainly because you've got to think this is a vintage park. There wasn't a lot of theming around rides back in the day. It was more sort of landscaping and lights, and I say that the Rushtabahn at Tivoli, it has got all theming around it. I don't think it opened with that theming, but it has got a really nice feel to it actually. It's like you're up in the mountains, you know, very Matterhorn style feel to it, with all the mountain, it glistens, it all lights up at night. Lots of different fountains and ponds and all that sort of stuff, statues, you name it, you're going to find it inside this park. And I'd like to put some really weird like character stuff in here as well, you know, in terms of like walkthroughs and stuff, maybe like some sort of maze that you'd walk through. Honestly, I've got so many different ideas going round in my head. It's just working out how to put it all together with this one. But yeah, like I said, just as you can see, starting to put in some of them nice archways with the lights on. And this gives you a bit of an idea here around the carousel in terms of what I want to do with the landscaping around this park. And I'm being very clever with my words here. Like, I'm not saying theming, I'm saying landscaping, because that's what it is more about. It's luscious gardens and things to walk through, really nice posh lampposts. You got to remember, with the amusement park, a lot of them are still pay per ride, or if they're not now, they were up until recent years pay per ride. So it was about attracting people to to their park and to them rides. Once they were in, it was about making it look absolutely beautiful and thinking, oh yes, I want to spend £3 or get 2 tokens or whatever to go on a ride, because it looks nice as well. Nobody wants to go on a ride it isn't well presented, and that's what brings us back to fairgrounds and travelling showmen of now, because people, when they take their rides to various events, look at Hyde Park Winter Wonderland for example, are you going to go on a ride what's not lit up or that doesn't look great? No, you're going to go to the ride what's got all the flashing lights and looks really well presented. So that sort of all came from amusement parks really, and about presentation. And yes, theme parks, a lot of them present the rides beautifully and well themed, but a lot of the time, because they're actually you pay one price park to go in, then it doesn't matter as such. Whereas when it's an amusement park and people are paying per ride, it was about attracting people to that individual ride. And that's why we've got to thank a lot of these old school amusement parks for a lot of the charm and character what they've got today. Look at Blackpool Pleasure Beach for example. A ride that comes straight into my head is the River Caves. You look at all the front there, you've got the Tunnel of Love that you can see, the waterfall, that wonderful rock work. I mean, it could do with a little bit of restoration now, and I do think that'll come with projects that are planned for around that area in the next few years. But yeah, River Caves and a lot of the rides, it's about drawing people in. Valhalla, I know it was built in year 2000, it's only 18 years old, but still, that all comes into play, doesn't it? That massive facade, the waterfall, you've now got the fire out the front from when it was updated. It draws you in, it makes you think, wow, let's go and pay to go on that ride. And as much as Blackpool now push their wristbands, and I don't think there's many people that get tickets these days, I do still see ride tickets and you still can buy them for Blackpool Pleasure Beach, but you got to bear in mind that the wristband style of that park is quite new really. When you think about the age of the park from the late 1800s, the wristbands have only come into play massively over the past sort of 10 to 15 years. You look before that, wristbands weren't a big thing for Blackpool Pleasure Beach. But yeah, it's good to see they still well present their rides. I mean, look at Icon, it's not so much themed, it's well landscaped, isn't it? With all the area finished off well, planting. I think we'll see more planting put around Icon, especially around the second section of the ride this winter actually. So yeah, it's about presenting the rides really well, presenting the rides really well rather, and putting it all together. But yeah, I'm pleased with how it's coming along so far. You can see just adding some more details to the buildings now, because now I've put some of the trees and shrubbery and plants in. I've started to get a feel for how I want it to look, and already you can tell here very different style buildings to what I've done before. Big lavish buildings with all these little details on, covered in lights, archways, domes, all these different pyramids and stuff what you can get, and toppers. That's what it's all about with it being an amusement park, and that all stems back to what I was saying just about making sure it's well presented. Another thing what we like to do at amusement parks is put all your names for the rides hanging off the ride and all that sort of stuff, hence why we've got Scenic Railway up at the top just there, at the top of the lift hill of the ride. That is going to be the name for that. I don't need a name suggested for that one. There's going to be a few rides built where they will just be what they are. That is a Scenic Railway. I plan on building a wild mouse in the next episode, a wooden wild mouse that is, which is going to be going on this site just by the bandstand. You're probably thinking why? Oh, the bandstand's just sort of there in front of this building. That's actually going to be an arcade. That'll be the Palace Arcade, I'm planning on calling that. And there's going to be all different grabber machines and things in those archways there, so that won't be a food unit. The building what's on the entrance street at the left hand side will be a food unit. I say entrance street, something I've not really touched on. There's going to be at least 3 entrances into this amusement park, all from the seafront. I plan on putting some seafront amusements in and various things, so yeah, that'll all come together quite nicely as well along the seafront, and building up a seafront as the park goes, so to speak. Of course, I want people to be able to look into the park from the seafront, because again it attracts people in, and I know we're in the game here and people are going to come no matter what, but it's about realism. I like realism in my parks, and putting them little things in where it's like, oh yes, you know, Sean's put this in to attract people into the park. I like that, and that's what it's all about in my opinion. And we might be coming towards the end here of episode 1 of this new series, but I think already you can get a feel for how this is going to be. It'll be a very lavish park with lots and lots of really nice buildings and little areas to walk around and take photos in. Yeah, I think it'll all come together really quite nice. This is the building what's actually going to be the food unit, and you can see there I'm putting in a little stage on there with a nice Disney classic. Of course, you've got the singers which you have on Main Street USA at Disney, which are absolutely fantastic, and I love how Frontier incorporated those in with the vintage pack. That is what a lot of this scenery's come from. Not all of it, but a lot of it has come from the vintage pack, these roofs and everything. Planet Coaster know what they're doing, they know what they're looking for, and the good thing is coming out soon as well, literally in the next couple of days, there's a new DLC coming out, and it looks like we're going to be getting a Schwarzkopf looping coaster, so that's perfect for this park. Yes, like that'll work here really well. Maybe a big scale Schwarzkopf looping coaster, a bit like Olympia looping, would be quite nice in this park. Putting in all these different columns along the front just there and some more details. Yeah, I'm really pleased with how it's coming together, and yeah, it's just sort of going along with the flow, isn't it? Like 20 minutes ago, I didn't really have much idea other than the fact I wanted a coaster sort of a little bit into the park with room for some buildings and other rides in front of it, and now here we are. Like in terms of how much this took me, how much time, probably about 2 hours, so not actually too bad. About 2 hours here, what I've brought down to 21 minutes there, but yeah, I'm really pleased with how it's all coming on. Little details are key on these buildings, and you'll see in a moment I had loads of like little lights and things on the top here as well, using them same style fences here on the top of the buildings as to what are on the paths all the way around the side. Of course, the really nice lampposts as well that I've brought in on the paths that I really do quite like as well. There's some great stuff. I'm looking at maybe doing a bit of Jules Verne style area as well. I think that'd work quite well. Maybe a roller coaster, or even the Schwarzkopf roller coaster theme to that. A wooden bobsleigh is another ride that I plan on putting in. A fun house, as much as they're not available in the game, I'm going to make a nice facade for a fun house, and then put like a spinning flat ride or something inside to simulate that fun house. Or it could even be really your queue line is acting as the fun house with a ride at the end. As you can see here, using them really nice vintage posters, what they've got there, the banners, I really like those, and putting lots of lights around them. And you'll see at various points I do actually switch this game from daytime mode to nighttime mode, just to have a look at how it all comes together, because that is another big part of it. This park, probably more important than the other two, it needs to look the part in the dark. Amusement parks come alive at night. I mean, for example, look at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. If you went on one of the 10 p.m. closing days throughout the season, that place comes alive at night, especially when they've got the firework displays. That'll be a big thing in this vintage park, and yeah, and so on. Like at night time, amusement parks just shine, in my opinion, with all the lights everywhere, and yeah, that's the sort of feel that I want. It's when there's nothing better than when your parents take you to an amusement park for the first time. I'll always remember going to Blackpool for that first time and going on some of the rides there, and yeah, it's lovely. It's a really nice, heartwarming feeling walking around an amusement park, and it's a very different feel to going into a theme park. And as much as I've always liked my theme parks more, now I've been to a lot of these amusement parks in Europe over the past 3 or 4 years, thanks to having Theme Park Worldwide. It's made me love amusement parks just as much as theme parks, if not more, because of that feel, that nostalgic sort of feel what they've got, and that's really what I want to bring into this game. But yeah, here we are. We've nearly reached the end of episode 1 of this brand new series, and you know what, it's been an absolute pleasure bringing this straight in. I know you guys love the Planet Coasters here on Theme Park Worldwide, and I love bringing them to you guys, so make sure you stay tuned tuned here on the channel, as we're going to be bringing these at least one new episode per week. And I don't know how many episodes it's going to be. I'm not going to rush it. I'm not going to put a time scale on it. I'll just bring a new episode every week. Keep your suggestions coming in. And yeah, I'll bring them to you here on Theme Park Worldwide. I'm Sean Sandbrook. Thank you very much for watching. And yes, from this episode of Planet Coaster, that means it's time to cue those credits. I'll see you in the next video. Bye, folks.
We'll be right back.